What's going on, YouTube? This week I'm gonna talk about kind of what the goals are going into this next phase of training. What this next few blocks is gonna be all about. And then I'm gonna talk a little bit about my lifts and from last week, and in particular, training with my buddy Adesh, who came down to visit for a few days, so I was able to get a few workouts in with him. So first, next few blocks, the plan is to try to get to about 230 pounds body weight, I'm going to say 225. The plan is to compete at 198 in December of next year, 2025. So 230 might be pushing it a little bit in terms of a reasonable time frame for me to be able to cut down and still feel good. Whereas 225, 5-pound difference, that makes a big difference. If I was gonna do 205 or 93 kilos in powerlifting America, I could do 230 for sure. But I think that the plan right now is to hit a total that will allow me to qualify for the Arnold Classic 2026. So I might as well just stay in the USAPL, which is, the Arnold Classic, hosts the USAPL powerlifting portion. So that's the plan. The next few months, and we're trying to gain about a pound a week, ish. And then once I get to 225 body weight, maintain that for a little while, and then cut down to about, low 200s, maybe 202. And then do a gut cut, which if you look up Steve DeNovi's gut cut protocol on YouTube, it's a great video. Explains how to cut weight effectively for a 2-hour weigh-in versus a 24-hour weigh-in where there are a lot more variables you can mess with. So training last week, I'll voice over those clips, and it was really great to see my buddy Adesh, as I'll kind of talk about later over the clips. Adesh and I started training under the same coach almost 3 years ago. We were with another guy at the time, and we were both in the same weight class. We had roughly the same total for the first year or so, and we were very competitive. We took every opportunity we could to train together and to try to outdo each other. Over the last year or so, he's pulled away from me. He actually out-totaled me at a lower weight class at the last meet that he did, but before the last meet that we did together. So the last meet that he did before States was Collegiate Nationals 2024. He totaled like 687, I think, at 82 kilos. And at that point, my best total was 660 at 90 kilos, which was a little bit embarrassing. And even now, we both just tied totals, but I weighed in like 213 and he weighed in like 180 maybe. So I'm still catching up, but training together, we both are big proponents of like training hard, and we both like to push beyond failure. So you'll see in these clips, after I show you squat, bench, deadlift last week, top sets, you'll see what kind of intensity we bring. And that video that I posted about training hard, maybe a month ago or so, like, this is I don't think that everyone should train like this necessarily, especially if you're a beginner, or if your goals are not specifically like bodybuilding / powerlifting. But if you are someone who is no longer a beginner, and especially if you have trouble with plateaus, like if you don't see progress in certain areas, or especially like in terms of putting on muscle, using these intensity techniques, going beyond failure every once in a while, I think is a great idea. You know, for myself, I push to failure very frequently, and I try to push beyond failure about once a block. Like for my last week of a block, I'll use these kinds of intensity techniques to push beyond failure. And for us, it's just fun. Like, we really enjoy it, but also we are both of the same, mind of wanting to do better than everybody else, right? Like, the goal is not to just do the same thing everybody else is doing and hope for better results. We both understand that there are people who are going to have better genetics and better this, better that, better circumstances. So there's only so much that you can do about, your given circumstances, but there is so much you can do about your efforts, and what you do about your circumstances, your nutrition, your training, your sleep, hydration, all that stuff. Anyway, I'm going to cut to the clips of training this week, or from last week rather. And then, I'll probably wrap this up later. This is 435, first set of 6. Plan is to go up another 30 pounds next week for 465, maybe 470 for a set of 6 on my week 3, and ending the block hopefully with around 500 pounds ish. And then here, little 455 triple, taking it a little bit easier on pulls, specifically the comp pulls. There's a lot of volume that I'm doing for conventional deadlifts, including as well as stiff leg deadlifts. So getting a lot of posterior chain work done, and letting that be the most of my work for deadlift right now. And then little 335 bench, had to use awkward plate load because Adesh was using other plates. So here I've got single leg extensions. I put a lot of emphasis on controlling the eccentric, and Adesh right here, what he's doing is he's actually he's pushing me back harder as I go down, so that I have to actively resist him on the way down, and then he's helping me up through the concentric. I would have hit failure far sooner if it wasn't for the fact that he was helping me up, but then he's furthering the torment by making it harder on the way down. And then here, Adesh would normally have a belt squat variation, but our gym doesn't have a belt squat, so we use the Smith machine. And again, we're just trying to help him push past failure. So as soon as he's starting to fail, we're helping him up, and then, letting him do the eccentric on his own. And a big thing here is trying not to let him recover between reps. And as you can see, he collapses to the floor, can't get back up. Oh man, yeah. So yeah, he was pretty exhausted after that. Shout out to my little sister for coming out just to spot him. Yeah, so this is kind of what we really wanted to do when we realized that, you know, we would have an opportunity to train together. Just pushing past failure, going to this point of beyond exhausted, which is just awesome. So to wrap that up, you know, had a good week of training. Looking forward to this next week. I'm about to go in and I'm going to squat 465, 470 for a set of 6. Hopefully, you know, able to hit a PR next week, 495, 500-ish for 6. We'll see how I'm feeling. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one.